Jaya Radha Madhava.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel in order to receive all the notifications and not to miss anything of our upcoming contents. Hare Krishna, dear friends. For some years now, there has been talk of assisted dying. Some people, because they suffer a lot from some disease, think of taking their own life. It seems that for them, this is the only solution. Some doctors call this assisted suicide and that it is done gently. They also say because people are in so much pain that they think death is a release. They are at peace with their decision. These are people who have gone through suffering that you cannot imagine. For them, there is no other solution. They have reached their limits. It is our particular act. It is never commonplace for a doctor, even if you have done dozens of them. It is never normal to go into a room and administer medical aid in dying. The scriptures, however, tell us otherwise. They teach us that when we commit suicide, we take on the ghostly body in our next life. The Srimad Bhagavatam says in 3rd Canto, 14th chapter, verse 24, "Ghosts are bereft of a physical body because of their grievously sinful acts, such as suicide. The last resort of the ghostly characters in human society is to take shelter of suicide, either material or spiritual. Material suicide causes loss of the physical body, and spiritual suicide causes loss of the individual identity." Also, the Srimad Bhagavatam says in the 2nd Canto, 3rd chapter, verse 23, "When a man dies, he is called dead, but when he again appears in a subtle form not visible to our present vision, and yet acts such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others." Per report of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 20th chapter, verse 41. The disease of insanity or being haunted by ghosts takes place in an unclean state of existence. Here, it is clearly stated that when a man is fast asleep and saliva flows from his mouth and he remains unclean, ghosts then take advantage of this unclean state and haunt his body. In other words, those who rule while sleeping are considered unclean and are subject to be haunted by ghosts or to go insane. In the Bhagavad Gita, 17th chapter, verse 4, "Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits." It is said in the purport of this verse, "Now it is clearly described here that those who are in the mode of passion worship and create such gods, and those who are in the mode of ignorance and darkness worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man. Sexual service is also considered to be in the mode of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts. We have seen that in India, the lower class people sometimes go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that a ghost lives in a tree, they worship that tree and offer sacrifices. These different kinds of worship are not actually God worship. Here are some excerpts from a lecture given on March 12, 1971 by Srila Prabhupada about ghosts. If there are ghosts in a house, you just have to recite the Maha Mantra and they will go away. In my life, there have been several facts about ghosts. In my family life, when I was doing business in Lucknow, there was a big house for rent for several thousand rupees, but it was haunted. No one wanted that house, and I got it for 200 rupees. All the servants of the house had warned me of the presence of a ghost. This ghost was living in different parts of the house. I chanted, "Hare Krishna," and the ghosts left. In 1969, I was invited to John Lennon's house in London. There was also a ghost in the guest house, and people were complaining about his presence. I told them to chant Hare Krishna, and the ghost left. It is a fact that ghosts cannot tolerate this chanting because of their demonic mentality. They cannot stay and they leave the place. The best way to get rid of them is to chant Hare Krishna, do kirtans until they leave. They will leave the place. This, dear friends, is what happens to those who take their own lives. Hare Krishna. Please leave a comment and tell us what you think about this video. Hare Krishna, and see you next video. Hare Krishna.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari